And let's click that. All right, we should be live now there. And then, oh, I'm on the wrong scene for this. Nope, that's not it either. There we go. And I think we are about to go live on vertical as well. Nice. All right. We are, in fact, live, and we are live both horizontally and vertically on YouTube. Yo, what's up, Link? What's up, Paul? What's up, Jaden? I think she could be used extra help in combat. Yes, I agree with that. All right, let me get my chats going. Auto find and activate will hopefully do both. It looks like it did. Sweet deal. Sweet deal. All right. I think we are set up. We are rocking. We are ready to talk some Critical Role. And hopefully everything
we are
will,
ready.
Hopefully everything will go smoothly. You know what I should do on my other monitor? I should pull up my notes. Because sometimes I've been doing that after the fact. But all right, guys, how we doing? How we feeling? First, let's I guess we'll mention the announcement they did today. I wasn't that excited. I'll say that because we're, this is mostly campaign 4, but I can say that I was a little let down by the announcement today from them, but it is what it is. Yeah, so last week was an interesting one. So I think we are seeing the real adventure starting, if that makes sense. I think the party now moving into, like, they're leaving Castle Torch, they're heading to the Eternal Night. First of all, that just sounds dope. So I'm excited for that. Heading to the Eternal Night. I think this is where things get interesting. Not that it hasn't been like interesting, but I think it's going to be much more interesting now than it was before. Daniel says, I'll give the draw your weapon thing a try, but I agreed it's not that exciting. What's up, John? Yeah, it's not that it's not as exciting. It's just, I feel like, I said this in the Discord, I underestimate, which is possible, or they overestimate, hopefully, like they're in optimism, right? Because as a business, they want to be able to have other people and other projects be there. But to me, it's like, dude, people are here because they like your crew. All right. They like the main cast. So when you're like, oh, here's this new thing we have and none of us are a part of it, people are like, oh, okay. Like, cool, I guess. At least that's how I feel about it. I could be totally wrong on that. But that's the kind of vibe I get from a lot of the critters, as well as like, oh, your big announcement has nothing to do with the Critical Role crew, the campaigns, the TV shows. It's just a new thing with a bunch of different people. You're right. Like that's how I kind of feel like they are about it. Troy, thanks for that follow over on TikTok. Appreciate that. Paul says, I've been enjoying this party more than I would have thought. I'm still wondering why we haven't done more of the curse on Julian. Backstory's been coming through pretty good. Yeah, it dabbles. Like every now and again, the curse thing comes up. But it is not something that we experience super regularly for whatever reason. But it pops up here and there, right? Like the guy at the Erie, when he was trying to send the letter, it was there. It was a little bit before that. Yeah. Biko says, I'm getting more into the Seekers now, and they're done in what, 2 sessions? Yeah. Yeah, they're I think that is currently what we're supposed to expect, is that they will be done in like 2 episodes. Paul says, Azune is sadness on top of sadness. He's like a tranquilizer, depression, coma rolled into one. Yeah, that open was intense. That cold open last week was really intense. And Louise just decided to go all out with the emotions on that one. I mean, tears running down the face, bloodshot eyes, veins popping on the head. It was intense. There was a lot of emotion there. Jason, what's up, dude? I think Julian has rolled a few times for consequences from the curse, but is passable. Yeah, exactly. He had to roll a wisdom save in that moment, and he just passed. Link says, I know I posted this before. Holly, thanks for liking the live on TikTok. I appreciate that. I know I posted this before in the last recap, but I don't think all the gods of Armon were killed. I believe some of them reincarnated, and the goddess of life reincarnated into Aranessa. Yeah, I saw the thing about that. That is an interesting theory. The idea that like that's her deep dark secret, is that she's secretly like, but I guess why her? Because she's also of the line, you know, that's like connected to Faye and stuff. So yeah. Yo, what up, Piratey Steve? How you doing, man? Welcome in. Plog, welcome in, welcome in. Good to see you guys. For anybody on TikTok, make sure you double tap, like the live, throw a follow my way. If you're on YouTube, make sure you click that thumbs up button, throw a comment in the chat, so YouTube knows that people want to be here. John says, I'm sad that my goat Cursing Blood went with Aranessa, not with our crew. Yeah, he was fun in that one. I am not surprised that he didn't go with the crew. I think they've had an NPC with them the entire time they've existed, so I think it's okay that they didn't lose one to gain one, right? Like I think it'll be interesting for them to not be able to just immediately lean onto Aranessa for stuff, and to not have Brennan like guide them through her. That'll be interesting. Daniel says, what do we think we will get for this week's cold open? I'm going to bet on a scene with Cadigan. I think that's super valid. It's either going to be Cadigan or a Wiccan Tyranny, is what I think. Unless it's a solo flashback with like just Wick or just Tyranny. I definitely think it'll be one of those 3. Since last week we did Azune. All right, Jen says, time to show Journeyman he's not the only insane theory crafter in this chat. Aranessa's secret is that she has actually been Wiccander in disguise. Furthermore, the Wick we've seen at the soldiers. Wait, what? Yo, what's up, Mal? Welcome in, welcome in. Oh, it continues. Furthermore, the Wick we've seen at the soldiers' table is actually Aranessa. And like I said last week, she is actually playing cleric, now a sorcerer. Like others pointed out last week, we've already seen him use the famous cleric points. Yeah, I appreciate the effort and the thoughts there. I do not subscribe to it in any way, shape, or form, and I would like that to be noted for the court. That's how I feel about that. I would like that to be noted for the court, that I do not buy in or support this theory in any way, shape, or form. Did I forget? Oh yeah, let me open Twitch. Yeah, let the record show. I do not agree with that. Slice, what's up, dude? Did I miss your emojis, or did I not open the Twitch chat on here? No, I did. I wonder why I missed your... maybe I did it after the fact. But hello, Sliced on Twitch. Softball, welcome in. Good to see you again. Ashley's insight check on Aranessa. I was like, yes, I had a suspicion she's hiding something. Yeah, but the thing is, Brennan was basically like, she's never lied to you. The things you think aren't real, but there is something deep down. And so it was like, wait a second. Okay, so she hasn't lied about anything she's been talking about, right? You know she hasn't lied to you, but there is a secret within her, deep down. I'd love to know what that secret is, but I don't think it's that she's secretly Wikander. Pico says, hands Jaden some more tinfoil for his hat. Jaden, take your tinfoil. Allie, what's up? Hello, hello. Welcome in, welcome in. We already said it once in this. For those of you, maybe some of you are more excited for that announcement today. I was not. I was a little disappointed that it wasn't something related to Critical Role, and it was more of just like, here's a new show with some other people. So people can throw some thoughts about that in there as well. Should they like, ooh, I forgot to notify Discord that I was live. No bueno. No bueno. Just Jerry, what's up? Oh yeah, guys, as well. If you didn't know, if you're over on the vertical version, so you're seeing me in 9:16, I am also live the normal way, horizontal. So if you just click on my page, it'll show 2 live streams. One has vertical in the thumbnail and in the title. That's the one you're watching currently. If you're on the vertical 9:16, you can go there and pick the other one, and you can watch me in the normal 16:9 horizontal, just in case you're like, why are you like this? If you're on phone, you may enjoy watching it that way more, but I just wanted to let you guys know in case you didn't. Let me post in Discord real quick since I forgot. Aaron, that's the secret. Maybe that she's the one who closed the door to fair. Ooh, I like that. I like that. I think that's a solid theory right there, Pirate. Is that like she's the reason the gates are closed? Something like that. Piratey, thanks so much for that subscription, dude. Thank you for subscribing to the YouTube. Somebody. Oh wait, I'm not seeing. Hold on, TikTok. Hey, Dana with a super chat. 1 second. My TikTok chat is an update, and I just saw that Tails is talking over there, and it's not putting it in my all chat. So let me refresh that. Said have a fun pre-show. Actually, everyone's falling asleep. Someone says, hey, well, enjoy your rest if you're actually able to sleep. By all means, get in the do that. I know that you struggle with that sometimes, so definitely do that. I mean, sorry we won't have you around for the stream, but I understand. But I graciously accept the tinfoil. I was due to craft more theories. Hey, Jaden, all the theories you want. I was as well. I was hoping something having to do with them. So for paying it forward, they started again. Consider I think it's cool. Yeah, no. I like it. It's just not that exciting because I don't think that many people love it, but I totally like it. It's neat. Like, don't get me wrong. They're giving people a platform and introducing people and coming up with creative ideas and stuff. It's just like, it just doesn't interest me that much. That's all. All right. Daniel says with a super chat, do we think Dame Gaia has magical powers like Sir Inigo? Is she going to be a straight fighter? I think she's going to be a straight fighter. But we have nothing to base it on, really, right? All we know is that she has a tattoo and that she's Saramai. So could be completely wrong on that. But like, if I'm just taking a random guess, I'm going with she's just going to be a fighter. Yo, what's up, Jimmy? Welcome in. John says, I'm all for more content on CR, even without the main cast. There's some amazing actual plays out there. I should try it, but this Jolly Weapon concept didn't get me super excited. Yeah, well, one, I think it's hard for them to explain without you seeing it. Like, I even read or looked at the article, and it's like, I still don't fully understand Are they drawing the whole time? Are they prompted to draw? Are they like, who's drawing? Is it all the players, one of the players at a time, right? Like, what? There's play-by-play commentators. Where do they come in? How does that work, right? So I still think there's a lot of questions surrounding it because we just don't really know how it's going to work. So we just have to wait and see and hope that it's Gucci. Edwin, what's up, dude? What's up, Critters? What up, Nerdcore? Chilling, dude. Excited for another episode. Pirate Steve says, I read that somewhere else. Not my original thought. I don't have those being a pirate. Oh, what was the thing that I missed? Oh, close the door to fairy. Gotcha. Any more Seeker? Julian needs more screen time. Yeah, we've gotten a fair amount of... well, Julian's been kind of like front and center, I think, for a lot of these previous episodes. Biko says, P.S. I really like you delineate the vertical versions. Took me a while to realize another creator was doing broadcasts, but didn't explain why I keep seeing 2 lives from it. Yeah, that's why. It's because they get put in potentially 2 different feeds. So people who are scrolling through shorts might see this live stream. And so that's the reason I do it, is because there can be, like, last time there was like 30, 40 people on vertical and then, like, 100 or something on the horizontal. This time, not so much. There's 40 currently horizontal and there's 1 on vertical. But last time there were a lot. So. Want to know more about the F Castle? Yeah, you want to know more about what Julian was doing at the Sex Castle? Mariah, welcome in. Good to see you again. I had 2 theories about Aranessa. One was that she closed the door for safety purposes, or she could be pregnant with Theozi's child, but on the ladder of closing the door to fairies. But on the ladder of closing the door to fairies. I don't understand that part. Post video about that drawing game on Beacon only. No, so it went out. They did it on the character sheet posted a video on YouTube an hour before the announcement officially went live. Because I guess they had a partnership to break the news. Like they said that they partnered with them to talk about this. So they did a video and then they made the official announcement. And on Beacon, there's an article. And I don't know. I'm pretty sure they also posted the trailer to their YouTube. Yeah, if you go to their YouTube and click videos, yeah, there's a trailer there for that. So they also posted it there. Eamon says, the one thing I don't like is that they don't show the dice rolls. I'm like to mention, with Critical Role, they don't always show the dice rolls. Hey, what up? Yet it is Bidet-all. Hope you're having a good Thursday. Pirate says, should be interesting to see the effects of the Barrelins. And maybe we'll get a bit more on how Armand's magic works and different factions want to use and control it. Oh, yeah. Going into the Eternal Night, and they were talking about how, like, maybe the Chaconas can handle it better, and they can. So I'm wondering, is there like an environmental effect that we're about to see? If it's going to be like a, an every round chance that something happens or whatever. I'm intrigued to see if that's going to be something, or if it's just that it's like dangerous with undead and the Chaconas don't have to worry about that. Which, I'm assuming we will find out tonight how that is going to work. Softball says, Seeker's Table has been my favorite so far, to be honest, but I'm excited to see the schemers and what they will bring. Yeah, they're not my favorite. I've enjoyed it, but I have found myself not wanting to watch the whole episode in a night, whereas I didn't have that as much with the soldiers. Like, I like the Seekers. They are not holding me engaged as well as the soldiers did. Personally. I mean, everybody likes a different style of game. And it's, like I said, it's still enjoyable, but I find myself, I'm like an hour and a half in, and I'm like looking at the time being like, oh, there's another 2 hours of this. For what it's worth. Let's see. Noah says, welcome in, Noah. Good to see you again. What kind of combat you think they get into this episode? Well, they're actually going into the Eternal Night. So depending on, I mean, assuming that they get there relatively quickly, I'm going to guess some undead. It's either going to be undead or Taconis would be my guess. And then I imagine we will potentially, I don't know if we'll get there tonight, but if we don't, I imagine we will end after they find Alogar, or what happened to Alogar is when like this arc will end with the Seekers. So I think maybe with some undead. Yo, what up, Mr. Malicious? Happy Thursday to you as well. Sunken Train on TikTok. What's up, dude? Welcome back. Emma, hey! Looking forward to seeing the new potential favorite NPC Tonwell. Think they will bring Comic Relief. He's joining the group. He's not, though, right? He's going with Aranessa. I think he's heading off with Aranessa to the Golden Orchard while the group goes to the Eternal Night. Jaden asks, do you think the Seekers are leveling up into this session? Yes. I'm looking forward to the Skimmers table. Yeah, they should be fun. Be a good crew. I really enjoyed last week's episode. Yeah, last week was definitely interesting. I think things got fun. It started off with the flight. The flight scene was really cool. Like the idea of like this storm cloud following them and lightning striking down to defeat like the undead behind the veil. They're flying on this giant eagle, like very cool. The line that Brennan said about great and powerful forces begin to tear around you at a distance. Loved that. Loved that. Octus or Alex talking about how Penn tried to jump out and Octus catches Penn. Is like, stop doing that. Also enjoyed that. The middle part, from the time they landed, I guess it wasn't that long, but the landing part through them actually really getting into the end was kind of to me. But yeah, it was solid. Daniel says the final 2 episodes for the Seekers should be more engaging now that they are in the final stretch of their arc. There should be a lot more action and fewer coffee outings. I agree. I totally agree. I think these last 2 episodes could be really strong. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping they will be really strong these last 2 episodes. That is what I'm banking on. And I think it's very possible, just like you said. They've reached the point where they're entering the danger. Like they're not just like hey, we hope things work out for us and we're just kind of talking to people and whatever. It's like, no, you're entering dangerous land to find the missing people. So yeah. Just glad to see you tonight. Hope you're doing well too. I am doing all right. Yet it is. I'm doing all right. Party Steve says, agreed to Seekers. Last week I was complaining the episodes were shorter, yet I zonked out less than 3 hours in. Yeah, they're only like 3.5 hour episodes and they have felt longer because they're just slower. There's a lot more talking, a lot more of them like describing things that they're doing or whatever. Yeah. I imagine, Paul says, I imagine we are going to see the death of Alogar. You think so? Yeah, what an emotional scene that will be. Daniel says, unfortunately, we don't get Kurzingblad. That would have been a lot of fun. True, but I said this already. I'm glad we're moving away from an NPC in the party for a little bit. I want to see them without that. Even though, wait, do we know if Dame Gaia is going with them? I don't know if that was established. It might have been. So maybe they still do have an NPC, but it's not Lady Aranessa. We know that much. Why am I yawning? Said I can't wait. He doesn't risk it every day. Sometimes we go to town. Yeah. Oh, man. That was a good fun moment. Kudos to Brennan for being quick on his feet like that. Paul says, I think they'll get informed at the start of tonight's game that they're free to level out the moment they choose. Oh, you think so? But then we won't have... maybe they scrapped it, but they would want to have done one of those videos first. Right? Like they want to do like a video of them talking about what their options might be and stuff like that. And maybe they don't want to do that. They only did it the one off. But if they want to do that, then I don't think it would happen tonight. Paul says, can't wait to see the shift of Julian with not having Aranessa there as his anchor to good behavior. That could be interesting as well. I agree, Softball. Yeah, I am very interested in her not being in the party for a bit. Daniel says, I like the bit where they forgot to attach the connections for the carriage and they were just relying on Alltrotter to hold them the entire time. That poor old guy. Oh, screw Tonwell then. Yo, I mean, he was still cool. He's just not going with him, that's all. I wonder if we'll get a Murray cold open tonight or next week before the Schemers arc starts. Yeah, earlier it was brought up. We had a Schemer last week with the Zune, so we were wondering if it'll be Cadigan, Wick, or Tyranny tonight. So, I guess we're going to find out. Is the Eternal Night, do we get Undead and Unseelie Fae? Yeah, I think it's Undead. That's what I think, Grim Knight. I think it's going to be Undead and maybe some Taconis, potentially. Like Taconis Guards or something like that. Jimmy says, you thought Dame Gaia was going with him. Yeah, I can't remember. Mariah says, I wonder if we're going to see the twins again in the Eternal Night. About my theory. I meant to say I'm leaning towards our closing the door of the Golden Orchard, then are being predated. Oh, gotcha. You're with the ladder. Got it. Sherry, what's up? What are you talking about the follower? Are you talking about Dame Gaia? The Saramai Knight? It's going as a scout? That's what I thought they said. Okay, so yeah, she might be. Okay, so they do have another NPC with them. So they continue to have an NPC. Yo, what's up, Boneyard? Hello. I think leveling up waits until next week. It would be too soon to do it tonight. Yeah, I think that they will be told at the end of like tonight, like start thinking about what you want to do. Then this week, upcoming week, we'll get a video of them talking about what they might pick for their level ups. And then starting next week, they'll have the option to choose to level up. That's my expectation. Party Unchained from Aranessa. I agree. Yeah, Boner, that's kind of what I've been saying. I'm looking forward to that. Them kind of being away from Aranessa. However, they now have another NPC. So. Jaden says, yet it is the Schemers table has definitely been the table I've been looking forward to the most. Love political intrigue and feel like they're going to get into some real nitty gritty role play. Also interested in what house play is going to be like, being a theater kid at heart. Cameron, what's up, dude? How many episodes are left? I thought 2, but the Secret trailer footage suggests maybe 2 more after tonight. Oh, you think so? What in it made it seem like that? Slice, thanks for liking the live on TikTok. If anybody else is on TikTok and hasn't already liked the live, please do consider doing so. All you got to do is double tap your screen. Trying to make sure the chats. Mobius DM on TikTok says, I feel like this is the episode of the story. It's good for the Seekers. I agree. Same thing. Was it Daniel? Daniel said, like, I agree. I'm thinking tonight will be the night things start to turn the corner for my enjoyment when it comes to the Seekers. Paul says, I think that they're running out of episodes, and so they will have to crowbar in the level up. Also possible. Mal says, last episode was the first time I was a little bored of this campaign. It was like some episodes of campaign 3. They just didn't hold my attention, even though I enjoy the characters. Yeah, you know, we've been talking about that some already in this. That is how the Seekers in general have felt for me. They have struggled to hold my interest more often than the soldiers did, for sure. But, you know, I've still enjoyed it, but it has been more difficult to just sit through 3.5, 4 hours straight of just like, all right, here we go. Like last week, I watched about half of it, cut it off for the night, and just finished it up another time and finished my note taking for the recap. Because I just was like, I'm not sitting through all of this right now. It's gonna be another Basilisk and Octus's father briefly. Is she a knight? Or are they called knight? Dame Gaia, I would assume, is a knight of Saramai, but she could just be a member of the House of Saramai or whatever. But I think should be a knight. Twirly Duck, what's up? Says, yeah, Octus ordered Dame Gaia to accompany him as part of her redemption attempt. Ah, okay, so she's coming. Which is female equivalent, I assume that makes her a knight. Yeah, Daniel, I think she's a knight. Twirly says, I always enjoy a good party NPC member, and Brendan does a good job with not making them overshadow the players, which I was impressed with Aranessa being she was so politically charged. See, but I felt slightly different. I felt that she was turned to or used more often than I like. I mean, it was like, if this is the line, like she was just used slightly past what I would have enjoyed the most. I did feel like she was used to guide them quite a bit. They turned to her quite a bit, and I get it. Like her status in this party, like she's the head of a powerful house. You know, Julian's house is a vassal to hers, and all this sort of stuff, right? Like I get it. I do get it, but I also was like, okay, can we, like, Lady Aranessa is starting to become like a player character in here. So I'm glad that they're going to have some time away. I think they needed a break. That's my take. Nothing wrong with people who want her to be there, right? Or just people enjoy different things, right? But I personally am glad that we're getting a little bit of a break. Pico says, I assumed there would continue to be an NPC traveling with him, given they are a party of 4. Well, I mean, 4 is like normal for D&D. 3 to 5 is super normal, so you don't have to have one. The other party's 4, and I don't know if they'll have an NPC. But yeah, I mean, it's completely possible. Use Dame for Lady. Okay. Yeah, it's possible. I guess we'll find out maybe tonight. Softball says, with the undead, I feel like Valus is the only PC who has advantage because she was tanking those hits at the manor where Julian's dad passed. Hopefully there's a battle tonight. I think there may be. I think as they make their way into the Eternal Night, I'm thinking undead. I mean, that makes sense, right? Like, that's what's there. So I'm thinking undead. But maybe there won't be any. Maybe they'll come across the scouting party and the story will be completely different from what we're expecting it to be. John says, I think with Aranessa, for me, it was less Brennan imposing and more the PCs just constantly going to her, which made it a bit much. Yeah, well, I think it's a combination, right? They went to her a lot, and when you combine that with the times that he did kind of go like, oh, let's play a game. If they think this, why would they do this? Like, he kind of like guided them down a path, which is okay. It's just when in combination with them going to her, then it feels like a lot. Austin says, do you think campaign 4 is any good? Doesn't feel the same. I mean, I think it's good, but I totally understand that. No, it doesn't feel the same compared to like if you were a campaign 1 or a campaign 2 or maybe even a campaign 3. No, it doesn't feel the same. I don't think it's bad by any stretch. Like, it's good, but it's not It's not the same. No. Joseph, what's up, dude? Anyone betting on a PK tonight? No. I don't think so. Boneyard Mod says, what was your take on Valis' God removing the ability to heal Valis' sister in the flashback? I think it runs the light of tough love parenting and overreaction to a small infraction. I would agree with that take. I do think it could just be the tough love parenting. Could just be like, oh, well, hey, you did this, like, you know, you don't get my quick fix here, but also could be very strict on how they are meant to act. So yeah, I kind of, I'm with you on your take. Jaden says, I feel like the schemers aren't going to have one DNPC, but rather multiple NPCs that they gather information from, which they've kind of done. It's missing that rawness, if that makes sense. Yeah, no, you know, this comes up basically every single pre-show. Somebody will mention this, or it'll come up naturally through stuff. Yeah, Critical Role is not as raw and organic as it used to be. It's a production. It is a full-blown, multiple producers planning stuff out, knowing this needs to end by this point, wrap this up by that point. Yeah, it's a full-blown production. So it's not what it used to be. Mitchell says, I agree with softball. I think tonight we'll have a giant battle so that we can have a reason to do a level up video, just like how 3 soldiers level up in the dungeon with the basilisk. Yeah. Yeah, I think this week's big stuff will happen. And then across the next week, we're going to get the look at the level up, what they want to pick. And then next week, people will start leveling up. Daniel says, if the Seekers were to get wiped out, it would be next week against whatever Takona's villain they have to fight. True. If somebody's in there in the Eternal Night, yeah. Softball says, I love campaign 1, 2, and 3, but yes, campaign 4 is different, but I'm enjoying it so far. Yeah, again, I'm also enjoying it so far, but yeah, it is like not even a comparison how different it is, like really. Yet it is says, usually I want political intrigue, but part of things, but for some reason I'm so excited to see the schemers do their spy stuff. Twirly says, and a turn of topics. I'm new here and it might already been said. Tell us about your D&D experience. Favorite character you played up. Come up with and played. Ooh, okay. I'll try to make it quick because I do typically try to stick to Critical Role in Campaign 4. I've played like Redbox and stuff. I have the Redbox books up on the shelf and all that. But when I really first got into it, like consistent, I played in a game every Wednesday night from 6 to 9 p.m. as a teenager, like a young teen, like 13 maybe, at the local comic shop, 6 to 9 every Wednesday, where my first characters were Milo, the Halfling Rogue, and Oscar Goodrock, the Dwarven Paladin. And so those two really stick out in my mind, partially nostalgia. I was playing 3.5 at the time. But I really, really enjoyed that. And I, played a lot then, fell out of it for a while. And then over the last like 2.5 years, I've done a lot of D&D. At points playing 4 games a week, playing in 2, running 2 games. So being in 4 games a week for a while. And also, no reason to say my bad, dude. I was just saying that this normally comes to like it's a conversation that we have. That wasn't like calling you out in any way. Priority Steve says, when we get to the schemers, they have to be careful who and how they speak to NPCs. They're all well known in Dhalmakia. Yeah, they all hold some sort of status where they are, and they're employed. You got to worry about their employment. Paul says, it'd be interesting if there was a shade of Thiazi there in the dark to confront Julian. Ooh, and then he levels up, assuming he's 2 levels in fighter, and gets his subclass. Eugenie, what's up? Welcome in. Could be useful to reframe the Aranessa combos as avoiding a ton out of character. Would my PC think this about the politics of the world? Another method for sure. Sleepstar, what's up, dude? Did you watch the Fireside Chat? I did not. I mean, to be frank, to be honest, I had no interest in watching a fireside chat with the production crew. Not one bit of me was like, I would love to see that. Fair to anybody who does and did, but I'm yeah, I didn't watch it. Connor says, I feel like losing the ability to heal for such a small infraction made the first hint that Brennan, that their god is quick to anger and abandon, possibly an unkind person. Well, the elves didn't want to turn on their god, so maybe their god wasn't all that bad. You know, like, because we knew that, for instance, the orc god was like outright bad and wanted their people to like suffer in the afterlife and blah, blah, blah. We don't know as much when it comes to that, just that the other gods defended that god. John says, I think it's unfair to try and fit C4 into a C1 type bubble. They're just not trying to be the same thing. No, well, that's all I say when I talk about it. It's like, they're not the same thing and they're not trying to be. Yeah. Jaden says, I started with campaign 4 as a fan of Brennan from Dimension 20, so we didn't have some of the growing pains that others are feeling. So that said, I got to say I've really been enjoying it. Yeah, I think most people are still enjoying it, but it is just noticeably different. Mitchell says, plus, I set up for Julian to have a big narrative battle point now that his precious Aranessa is no longer in the party to give him haste. That's true. He doesn't have haste anymore. Julian's just got a big dip in his power level right now. Daniel says, well, Octus revealed to Dame Gaia that his family killed him and he isn't alive anymore. He probably has to keep that under wraps as long as possible. Oh, that is a good question. Will he like inform her, like, I'm kind of an outcast from my family. They killed me. I somehow came back and they still want to kill me. Right? Like, they still want me for some reason, or they want me to die. They want to capture me. They want something, because then you have to worry about who she's loyal to. Dylan, what's up, dude? Toast, so much for giving it a try. That was short. I feel like that was a pretty short response. Softball says, I believe someone says we should get 2 more episodes after this one due to the clothing they were wearing were different in the trailer. Oh, okay. Yeah, somebody had said that they thought we might get more. I didn't notice the clothing thing. Amna on YouTube says, what is your name? My name is Steven. Kevin, what's up, dude? On TikTok, what was the funniest moment in your D&D game? Oh, I don't know. There's so many funny moments across years of playing D&D. I'll say one that pops into my head is my players coming into like a disgusting bathtub in this sort of like haunted horror tavern place, and there were tentacles all coming out of it, and of course they started joking and playing with the tentacles, and yeah. Parody says, oh, what if the curse shade that's shadowing Julian turns on him once he's in the oh, because it's been just hanging out and now it'll have sort of that power. It'll be right behind him. Yeah, I don't know. Connor says, I agree, but I think it could be interesting if he set up that the elves should have turned on their god and didn't. Daniel says, one thing that I do miss is having a theme song with the intro. Yeah, and people, so I will say, I think culturally that's huge for Critical Role, and I hope that they're working on it. As somebody who actually did attend the Indianapolis live show, I was there when they announced Campaign 4. Being in an arena when everybody started singing that song when it started was epic. Like the atmosphere of like them doing the intro song, and I mean an arena of people singing this song together, that feeling, that atmosphere, that energy was incredible. So I just think culturally people love that. It's exciting. I'm sure people sit in front of their computers, sit at their TVs, and they sing along. They do all of that when there is a theme song. And so I really hope they realize that. Like culturally, I think it's important to their show. What's up, Journeyman? Jenny says, Octus being on the cover hypes but scares me. So I'm not sure how much covers matter, like the thumbnails. So for a while I thought, ooh, they do. But then we've gotten someone who are like, oh, like this episode didn't really have anything to do with Valus, and Ashley was on the cover. This episode didn't have like a ton to do with Thaisha. Thaisha was on the cover. Brennan was on the cover, you know, the thumbnail. And it's like, yeah, so I don't know how much it really plays into it. But this one could, don't get me wrong. Sometimes they're going to link. It's going to be like, oh, we have Octus on this one. They're going into the Eternal Night. The Dacona sent them in there. Like, totally could be something with him. But can only put so much into it. Hello, Jaden. Piratey Steve says, fellow Steve. Yeah, but it's Steve N, dude. I never cut the N off. It's always Steven. I don't do Steve. Sorry, Piratey. Mama Han, what's up? Does anyone know what the curse does? No, we have no idea. Again, I'm thinking maybe he wants to pick that subclass, the Echo Knight or whatever. But that's just a guess. Jayhawk, what's up, dude? Without Lady A, they are in trouble. Her haste spell is the only thing that is kept. No, I do think Brennan may have to adjust if he hasn't already. He's a smart guy. I'm sure he's aware of it. That when you take away haste, the party's going to be a bit weaker. So you got to be ready to adjust. Yeah. So hopefully that is what is done for the enemies. Grace, what's up? Yeah, I started skipping the intro because the theme song is met. Yeah. I haven't watched it since they released the trailer and I like made a video on it because it didn't do anything for me. And so, yeah, every episode, I take no part in it. But I do think that the previous ones, like it's Thursday night. So I do believe those sorts of things are good for the brand. They're good for the fan base. They're good for the culture of Critical Role. So hopefully they will. Connor says, I don't think the covers matter at all. Daniel says the thumbnails don't seem to tell us anything about what happens in the episode. They just rotate through the group. That's where I'm at with it. I don't think they typically do. Sometimes they're going to line up, right? But most of the time it's like, yeah. Sleepstar says, I have a feeling that Lady Aranessa was saying a permanent goodbye to the party. I think when she goes to the castle in the Golden Orchard, she knows she won't come back. You think so? I saw some people, there was even a video, I think the character sheet did one that was like, oh, they're all saying like, Aranessa's gonna die. That's not the vibe I got. I'm just one dude on the internet. I can have a different vibe. But it was like a whole video about how it was like so evident that she was gonna die. And I'm like, I don't think it was evident she was going to die. Like they were saying their goodbyes and saying, hey, anything may happen. We're going to a potential danger here. You're going to a potential danger there. Who knows what's going to happen? Versus like this is it. Lady Aranessa's dead. That's just, you know. Could happen though. Could happen. I know they sent her off without a lot of people. She doesn't have a lot of protection. Boneyard says, I know people are worried about Aranessa, but I can't wait for that kind of narrative surprise Brenda cooks up when she gets reintroduced. Really doubt she would be off screen killed. Also true. She, you know, would they kill her off screen? Let's see. Hey, Daniel with another super chat. Will Valus do anything this week? It feels like she really needs to have a big moment to justify her involvement with this group. Yeah. Well, one, it sucks because Ashley has rolled so poorly. And then two, again, this is a topic every single week we bring up the fact that Valus is the least connected to what they're currently doing. She's just here for the ride, and it's evident. Like, it feels like she's just here for the ride. So I agree. I hope she gets something that makes her more ingrained. That's like, oh, this is my purpose. This is why, versus just, I'm going to follow this thread with Octus. I'm going to follow this thread. You know, it's like, what does that mean? What is this? What are the answers you're looking for? What are the things you're trying to get? Tell us. You know, I get it. But she's trying to bring somebody back from the dead. Maybe like, I'm cool, but like, tell us, you know, give us a little something when it comes to that. Let me scroll up because I skipped down to the super chat. I really appreciate that. If anybody else wants to throw a super chat, you know what I'm saying? I will read your comment faster. Jimmy says the words in the Twitch alerts will inform you about 100%. The alerts they send out on Beacon or Twitch or whatever spoil more than anything else. Mitchell says, I feel like Julian has had a lot of screen time recently, especially him being charismatic. I mean, you got the Lady Ingrid moment, you got the Love House moment, now he doesn't have Aranessa now. Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Julian has had a ton of screen time. He's had a lot of interactions. He's had these private conversations. He's been a talker for a lot of it. He's tried to move the story forward several times. I completely agree. Julian has had a lot. Mama Hunt says, wonder what the Ranger will have. Rangers get haste, don't they? Well, it's all going to depend on level. Are you talking about the head Ranger, Beerza, if they find her? Hollow on Plan Pie Sundered houses glitches. Next episode steals artifacts. Well, you said Fidoji? Who's that, Journeyman? Piratey Steve says, another thing to consider. Any NPC who dies might fall under the power of the Dakota's family return as undead. Stephanie, what's up? Says, hey, Nerdcore, I know Brennan has always been like, people are going to die, but Brennan isn't killing anyone in the first sets of groups. It won't kill anyone early. It does feel that way. It does feel that way, that like this first set of episodes for each group, they're not. Like, you get your 6 episodes of safety. Been kidnapped or jailed. Either one of those. Yeah. Mitchell says, also, since we had an Azune flashback as cold open last week, do we think we will get Tyranny Wick cold open or Cadigan? Yeah, Tyranny Wick or Cadigan. Sleep Starve says, I don't think she's going to die, but I think there's something with the contract with Fairy in her house. No, I could see that 100%. Sleep Starve. Yeah. Somebody else said earlier also that the theory going around apparently that her deep dark secret is like she's the one who closed the gate to Fairy or something like that, which would be interesting. Connor says, I think Ashley needs to buy some new dice. I think she's had a lot of dice and they've all rolled about the same. Ali Patron Casimir, Puppet Master, baiting House War, like episode 15 portrayals. Valus was also there. Yeah, that's how it is. Someone needs to send Ashley some weighted dice. Nikki says, NPC player characters become crutches. The party has to be able to stand on their own. Party balance is pretty important. Remember the King Sounds couldn't fight the fighters table. Yeah, again, I don't mind having one here and there. I don't mind, them getting some information from them, or it just like when they're always there and they're always being leaned on or guiding or that sort of thing. You're like, eh. Yo, what's up, Famine? Twirly says, so like this Eternal Night, how big of a land area is this that was cursed when the Shapers fell? I had a moment where I wondered how much of the world is affected, left unaffected. That's a great question. We don't know, right? We don't know how big the Eternal Night is. Are we talking like 2 square miles? Are we talking like what used to be an entire nation? Like a massive piece of land? Yeah, we actually don't have the answers to that unless I missed them. I don't think we know. Connor says, I think she's trying to figure out how to bring her god back, and if that's true, I think she will definitely not be telling anyone anytime soon. That's a valid, like, maybe she wouldn't spoil that, but it does seem that would be the case. And then her now, so she got told, hey, we never lied to you, or she's never lied to you, and yet she still to her sisters was like, hey, dig up some information on this person. Troy, thanks for liking the live again on TikTok. Guys, I'll do my spiel real quick. We've been live for about an hour. If you haven't already, double tap your screen if you're on TikTok. Please do that to like the live. Follow if you haven't. If you're on YouTube, click the thumbs up for me. And if you want to type something in chat like, hey, Nerdcore, you're so handsome, you can do that as well, just to give a little engagement, try to get some more people in here by engaging with it. Go ahead and do those things. If you want to support me continuing to try to do this full time, consider becoming a member here on YouTube. It's like $4 or $5 a month, cup of coffee a month to support me continuing to do this, or subscribe to my Patreon that is linked in the description down below. There is my spiel. Oh, and click the subscription button. It's free on YouTube. Subscribe. I'd like to hit 10K. We're like 800 away or something, or 750 or something like that. So all that sort of stuff. Into the tournament. Yeah. Mama Hun. Yeah, that's I believe the head ranger Beerza is that person. Oh, and join the Discord. It's also linked in the description on YouTube. Thanks. Oh, or if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Twitch Prime, and you can subscribe for free on my Twitch at twitch.tv/nerdcoregg. That's it. What's up, Rick? Jaden with the $2 super chat. Hey, Nerdcore, you're so handsome. Oh, paying me to compliment me is peak. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Andrew, hello. Welcome in. So Vain and JS Breck over on TikTok. Thanks for liking the live, guys. Really appreciate that. So Vain said Action needs to use some sage, Palo Santo, or holy water on her dice. She has the worst luck with that. Isn't Thaisha's son also Hal's son? Mitchell says. Yeah. So her two kids are with him, and then he has another kid with Eid something. I don't remember her name, but he's got another one. Holly, thanks for liking the live again. I really appreciate that. She's obviously trying to bring back her brother. Ooh, that could be another one. Maybe it's not the god. Maybe it's her brother. Back again. Pretty sure it's country-sized. Okay. How old are the elves in general? 100 years, 1,000 years? Well, isn't she like 800? Isn't Valus like 800? Elodie, yeah. I knew it was Edie or Eid, something like that. Kuro Berry says, I was excited that Aranessa was bouncing out, and then we got another NPC. I'm hoping they are less likely to engage in long convos with the dame, but I can't rule out long expositions about Taconis. Yeah, no, Kuro, I said the same thing. I was like, I'm glad that they're finally getting away from having an NPC the whole time, and then they got another NPC. But yeah, I doubt there's going to be as many long conversations with her. I don't think she's going to be leaned on as much. She's going to be a little more background, I hope. But welcome in. Piratey Steve says, it'd be nice to know the number of Gyarados equals the number of gods allegedly killed in the Shapers' War. Ooh. I said hello to Andrew Robinson. Now, Mama Hunt says, oh, I bet Aranessa's secret is she has a child. You think her and Thausi had a kid and that's her deep, dark secret? Or she had a different kid? Jayhawk says, if we have combat this episode, it will be telling. The Dame of Saramai might be filling a gap. Remember, the company has orders not to let anyone in. We shall see. Yeah, I wonder, I mean, but they know these people, right? Like, Alogar knows Thaisha. Most of the people out there probably know Julia. And so if they show up and they're like, oh, don't let anybody in. It's like, well, we're not trying to go in. Yeah. Haley, hello. I don't know if you're intentionally, you said your, and I don't know if I missed your original comment. Like you were asterisking your, but then you just said hi. And I don't know what, is that like you waved on the vertical chat or something? Also, guys, if you're on the vertical stream, the 9x16 and you want to watch it normal, like horizontal, just click on my profile and there's two streams. One says vertical and one doesn't say vertical. You can watch the normal 16:9 if you go to the other one that's not vertical. Vertical is in the thumbnail and at the end of the title, so you know to click the other one if you don't want that. Texas Toe says, geez, Nerdcore, your positive energy and genuine enthusiasm make this pre-show the best. Wow, dude. Thanks a lot, you idiot. Hey, Papa Smurf Hero with the subscription on Twitch, the Prime sub. Appreciate that, dude. Thank you. I'll put a little hype in the chat for you. I appreciate that. Who wants to bet that Ashley gets her dice to begin the episode again? I hope not. That was funny, though. Mitchell says, I know Julian hated the Aussie, but sleeping with your enemy's nephew is some real Game of Thrones. Connor said, for those who watched the cooldown, was Matt saying Julian did sleep with Alogar? It really seemed like it to me. Oh, I don't think I saw that. I just want to sit and enjoy the story my friends are doing. Yeah, and then she's like, oh, my dice. And then she has to run over and grab them. Famine says, don't know what hasn't been talked about yet, but that Eagle escape was fun, but felt like they didn't get up and get with any haste. Also, that Olympic Village barracks was so interesting. Yeah, the sex castle, and the eagle fight I thought was like described really cool. Like, you know, imagining it in my head of like this giant eagle soaring through, these people on it, these like faces pressing against the veil and trying to attack them, while druids are like in some, you know, a mile back, waving their hands, moving storms, striking lightning to protect them. Like they're, you know, again, it was described as, I read this line earlier in the stream. How did I lose it already? Great and powerful forces begin to tear around you at a distance. I thought that was so cool. I thought that was so cool. To pump you up. No, are you talking about Arnold, Papa Smurf? Daniel says, if I were Ashley, I would want to forget those dice too. No, that's fair. Leave your dice at the other table so you can borrow somebody else's. Andrew says, I'm not sure if Aranessa does have a kid. There hasn't been enough clues for that, from what I remember. No, there definitely hasn't been clues to that. It's just, you know, speculation. Daniel says, I'm going to watch the Kingdom Come Deliverance one-shot. I watched most of it, but I haven't finished it yet. I did not. What did you think of it, Daniel? Oh, Stephanie says, okay, put on your tinfoil hat. Lady A equals green eye thing. Octus equals green eye thing. Octus doesn't have powers like others. Family connection somehow. Okay, this is my crazy thought that I should stop. Wait, are you thinking she's secretly Taconis or something? Crow says, I think he got the green eye thing when he woke up. Maybe some fey magic helped him come back. Nikki says, Julian got cursed when he spent on Theoz's body at the funeral, right? Yeah, that's best guess, yeah. I think it's almost even been like established fully, but when that curse be the spirit of Theozy, I'm excited to learn more about this. So that is one of the theories, is that he's going to become an Echo Knight and his Echo is Theozy. That is just a theory, and it could be a completely separate curse that Brennan came up with, and it's something else, because he's been rolling like wisdom saves and stuff at times. Boneyard says, 100% would want to ride in that ego cart when they're, oh yeah, 100%. I really liked Trotter, the giant eagle. Famine says, I hope Ashley does forget her dice then. Someone, probably Matt, just goes, sit down and tosses her a new dice bag. Stephanie says, I think Lady A is actually Fae as well. Okay. Rick says, what level is control weather? What level are the Druid Elders? That's a good question. It's a good question. Let's see, control weather, 5e. That is an 8th level spell. Control weather is an 8th level spell, at least in 2014, and I doubt it changed. Yeah, 8th level spell. It's also a 10-minute cast time. So, I don't know. They were bending the rules a little bit with that one. Daniel says, I liked it. It was a Daggerheart game, so a bit different. It was funny that the German-named city in Bohemia felt less like a German city. Yeah, somebody else said something like that. I remember I saw a post where people were talking about the German in that versus. I think it was in my Discord. Mama Hun says, well, if the Aussie was on the outs with the family and they were supposed to be separated, a child would perhaps need to be hidden. How long were they together? I don't know. I don't know how long they were together. Yeah, but she herself wasn't like punished and stuff, so I could see it. Like, I could see that being a secret. I just would want more detail about like, why is it a secret, I guess, if that makes sense. Softball says, the King one-shot was great. Everyone was great, and it was funny, and it flowed very well. I enjoyed watching it. Wanted more from that whole cast. Hey, very good, Softball. When are they leveling up? Swordsman. I think a lot of us have come to the conclusion that at the end of tonight's session, they will be told that they can start thinking about stuff, and then we'll get a video like we got with the soldiers saying like, okay, what are you thinking about picking? You're right, we'll get one of those, and then next episode, they can start choosing when they want to level up. Sleepstarve says, shout out to new best NPC, Sir Tonveld Kurzingblad. His mother's very proud of his ability to drink ale. He has been one of the solid NPCs of the Seekers, but he doesn't touch Hawkins with a 10-foot pole. No way. Jimmy says, someone mentioned that they use spells higher than they can get sometimes. Piety asks, was it ever established what the Aussie did to finally get arrested and executed? As far as I know, there's no war rebellion currently going on. No. Or was it? I think we did. It was in the scene where homegirl Murray almost died. And I thought, was that episode 4? Was that episode 3? Lady A being Faye would be a good one. She might be a changeling. Ooh. Daniel says Deborah Ann Wall had a great character. She played this old nun ranger. She was sniping with her bow. She had a cool hawk. Love Deborah Ann Wall. Mitchell said, I know you said in a short that you prefer the soldiers and PCs over the Seekers. Has that sentiment changed at all? No. No. I mean, there were some neat interactions in this last episode, like the new Cursing Blood was cool. But, and as a whole, not it's really not even that close. I think the NPCs were just vastly better for the other group. Okay, hold on. I could have sworn Primus said something about why he was captured or something like that, or when they caught him in the courtyard. I don't know. I thought there was a spot that I could pull from for that. I don't think they've done enough to level up yet. Well, so that's where you go. Are the groups that aren't going to fight as much just simply not going to get to level up? I just don't think it's going to work that way. So I imagine, yo, what's up, Mikey, that there will be a combat tonight and then they'll get the chance to level up. That's just my guess. Hawkins is number 1 always. I love Hawkins. Amorose, what's up? Hawkins is best boy. Loved Hawkins. I feel like each table is going to have their own best NPC. It'd be funny to have them all together, so it has to be everyone at once. Yeah, I mean, of course, like out of the groups, there's going to be a good NPC in every group. I just think the soldiers had a plethora of solid NPCs, but they leaned a little more into humor, right? Like they were, even Hawkins, who was like this noble knight, his scenes were funny, you know? So. And then the first NPC with this group, they were all like, oh, I really like this guy, is also a goofy guy, right? The people that are talking about the Cursing Blood, and it's like he was kind of funny. Rick says 8th level, dang. Then Julian never stood a chance when he threatened. Yeah, no. Boneyard says, just hit me with that over 800 years Velas only got to level 3. She really is bad. So I said something about that, like in the early days of this campaign, if anybody remembers, and the pre-shows and stuff, I would bring up that Brennan was always introducing her and talking about her as like this ancient elven warrior fighting, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, but she's level 3, just like the, you know, 21-year-old Octus. You know, like she's not some awesome ancient, but then people are like, oh, maybe she lost her powers with the god being dead and blah, blah, blah. And so, but yeah, I definitely have had those thoughts, Boneyard. Andrew says, I love the concept of knights reincarnated into canines who can do their previous oaths. I want that to spread even further. No, I'm with that. I think that's freaking sick. I loved that. You know, dogs being like the loyal companions. John said, we haven't had an NPC as good as Obed yet for Seekers, let alone the Hounds. Exactly. Like, Obed Morn was amazing. Honeysuckle was fun. Skinner was fun. Like, they just had so many good NPCs. So that's an asterisk since he also had. Yeah, I mean, Julian kicked a butt in these fights, but he always had haste. I'm surprised this guy, Osaramai, was left out of the loop. Yeah, that'll be interesting to kind of figure out, like, why. You know, well, she wasn't really. Like, she wasn't left out. Well, she was kind of. Because she was the one who, like, the twins told to pass on this message that she didn't actually receive. So she was involved in that way. Jayhawk says they have been playing loose and fast with the rules. Thaisha's partial location spell that somehow didn't burn a spell slot was questionable. At best, Burden has been letting them go. Yeah, they're very loose with it. I don't remember if it was location spell. There was something specific where she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this, but not enough to use a spell slot." And I was like, "You're gonna cast the spell, but not cast the spell enough to use a spell slot, but it costs a spell slot to use the spell." So that might have been what you're talking about, but it caught me off a little bit. But it was also like does it matter in the grand scheme? Is this strictly for narrative stuff? Like, you know, you got to kind of have that mindset when you're watching. But yeah. When they mention looking for truffles, then Hawkins breaks in to say difficult. In the Eternal Night, there will be plenty of fighting. I think that is very possible. To me, it's either going to be undead or Taconis people, or both. Daniel says, it makes sense that not all vassals are part of the plot. They want to keep the circle small so their plans aren't discovered. Also completely viable. Famine says, even the experienced social interactions, they have only done enough to basically be like, please don't kill us, runs away. I wouldn't say they have won any non-combat interactions. I mean, it's one of those things, though, Famine. It's like, we don't really get to dictate, you know, when a DM lets their players level up and stuff, right? Like, it's a combination of just like when the plot reaches a point, when you think you've done enough, when you write, like that sort of thing. So, I mean, I can understand what you're saying. It's just also ultimately it's just up to Brennan to say like, all right, you can level up. Sleep Serve says Thaisha was arrested for assaulting guards of House Taconis and charged with illegal arcanism and larceny. Half a spell, yeah. Or undead Taconis people. Yeah, why not combine them? Heck yeah. Let's put it all together. Mitchell says, with how many nat 20s Alex rolled, just think about what he could do with desperate measures of rolling nat 20s. True. Kuro says, gonna guess there's some weird birds in there for sure. We've had some interesting descriptions of animals throughout this so far. We have definitely had some very intriguing animals described to us. They haven't fought any. They haven't really engaged with many. But remember, wasn't there like a cat creature or something in a tree that had wings and like flew off or something early in the thing? Jaden with the super chat. Yeah, $2 super chat. Do you prefer XP or milestone? I will say this. I think the feeling of XP is better. I think knowing how you're edging closer to leveling up, being told after a combat, you just got 1,000 experience, feels good. It gives you more dopamine hits. It gives you more of that, ooh, yes, like those moments of excitement of getting, oh, that fight was worth, 3,000 experience. That's all awesome stuff. I love that. Milestone is easier. Having to, like, as a dungeon master, having to calculate experience to know when your players might level up that will fit the story you're telling and those sorts of things can be a little obnoxious. So milestone is easier, but I think for the experience is better. Jay says, all the undead of Lady A in Julian's house, they all disappeared. Julian might have to fight his... Oh, that would be crazy if they went in there and like all the people that died at, were massacred and stuff, got their bodies got taken to the Eternal Night and they're in there just freaking under control or something. Yeah, it was the beginning when they first went into the soldiers first went into the forest. Famine says low-level D&D is difficult. Non-combat low-level D&D is harder. So I understand the let the party level when they think I just think it's been earned yet. That's fair. Jimmy said, Emo said something about Eternal Night with a compass and a skull emoji. Not to read into anything, because I don't know what that means unless they Sean Murray No Man's Sky emoji speak. I don't know what that means. Tilly says she likes the new hairdo. No, this nonsense right here, this is what my hair was supposed to look like. I was aggravated. I showed her a picture and everything, man. Picture and everything. Specifically said, like, I didn't want whatever, and she just took me all the way to the top. All the way to the top. It's just freaking, it's supposed to be blended. It's supposed to be blended, and it's just freaking, I'm like military, I'm just buzzed all the way to the very top, and I was aggravated. But thank you, Tilly. Appreciate that. Let's see. That Azune cold open was peak. It was very emotional. Does anyone believe one of the guards guarding Aranessa is working for the Taconis? No. Post a link that breaks down the timeline. I actually already opened it. That's what, a couple seconds ago when I was looking up. I have it up on the other monitor. I mean, I can't like dig into all this right now. But I actually opened it a minute ago. Thank you for sharing that, Sleep Starved. Not the dreaded Draconis. Journeyman knows the truth. Journeyman knows a lot of things. A lot of things. Someone needs to steal some filaments and paint themselves so we know what kind of asset it might be. Oh, can you imagine? they all just start taking filament. What's up, Dago? Hey, what do you think about the theory that the Aussie's alive as a falcon? Have you heard about it? In passing, I haven't heard like a real in-depth theory as to why. Just people saying like, oh, we saw a falcon in the sky. The idea of reincarnation, maybe came back. The whole falcon's cry. Like, I get the general theme, unless there's more to it. Stephanie says Julian fighting his dad is super cool, but I feel like it's too early for these heartbreak moments. But we know what Julian is fighting his dad eventually. You think so? You think like Julian eventually is going to fight his dad? See, but you guys are really banking on the fact that like all these dead people are under the control of the Taconis by just like default. Like when you die, you are simply controlled by. Because as far as we knew, their power was because they were able to ferry the undead. Not that they were like all controlling all undead forces and stuff like that. Like they definitely dig into the necromancy, so I get the idea. It's possible. It's definitely possible. I don't know what these emojis are. You did a laughing something, and is that a badger? Mitchell says we have currently reached timeline-wise the point of episode 9 through 11 for the soldiers. So while the seekers are just entering the eternal night, the soldiers are at the same time in the dungeon with Sid. Oh, very cool. That cold open had me in tears. What's up, Candle Gal? Yeah, no, Luis he killed it with that performance. I mean, he went full emotional with that. Matching filament tattoos, can you imagine? Daniel says, Dame Gaia is joining the Seekers at roughly the same moment that Thimble is killing her kinsman in the castle. Sleepstarve says, would the filament work on the mask? Or would Belair have access to filament powers if his host bodies has them? I imagine if the host body has them, I don't know if it would work on the mask. Cameron says, the soldiers are now calling themselves the Faint Falcons. What would be a good name for the Seekers? Well, they said that they were giving credit to the Faint Falcons. Did they confirm that they're like calling themselves that? And if we're going for the Seekers, the Defenders of Sex Castle. I don't know, guys. What do you think? What do you think the names for the Seekers would be based on the things they've done so far? The Feather Fallers, perhaps? They took the bodies. Yeah, no, I do. I know that they cleaned up their mess and through that party. Knew about Ox's death. How would Gaia knew? You think the whole vassal house would be informed, right? Not necessarily, Rick. Not necessarily. I mean, they got to get that information around everybody. Xander, what's up, dude? What level do you think the tables are going to get to? Because at this rate, it feels like the campaign ends at level 7. Well, one, why do you think that? I mean, the soldiers leveled up in what, episode 6 or something? 6 and 7. So if they level up every 6 or 7 episodes, and they go, each group goes 6 weeks, each one levels up. So if you're getting 6 weeks, 18 weeks. So yeah. I mean, that is like 4 months per level or something like that across the board. Could be a while. I don't know if it'd be as low as 7. What's up, mechanic? The Seekers are associated with nightingales, right? They have this night song. But the Night Singers. Ooh, the Night Singers. That's not bad. Thing comes from the fact that every time the parties encounter the dead boys, they talk about how fun it's going to be played within the afterlife. True. Or, they mention about killing them again. Is there any theories on what Belair's patron is? I haven't even thought about it. Yeah, I actually haven't even thought about what or who, because it doesn't make as much sense for him to have one, to be honest. Julian and his sidekicks, valid with how the combats have been going. Texto says, what's wrong with ending at 7? It would just be very low for them. Like for Critical Role to be like, all right, we hit level 7. We started at level 3. We hit 7 and we're done. The Demon Mockers. Okay. True, the first night of Ceremony was sure he was going to encounter the party again so he could fight them, get more control, but controlling your enemies undead is PvE energy. With Julian alone, yeah, Candlegal. That's what I was saying, the Defenders of Sex Castle or something. Mitchell says, Campaign 4 has way more players, though, so they may make the campaign longer. Previous 3 to reflect the bigger cast. It would be crazy to me if they made it longer. Like, they have said, though, like, could be characters that they play for years, so this could be another, like, 2-year long sort of thing. It's possible. Personally, I would like if they went back to the old way sooner rather than later. I'm not saying like right now, like I am enjoying it, but I would probably rather the old way in like a year and a half versus 2-3 years of that. His own patron or the trickster god he killed is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it doesn't make sense for him in a lot of ways as others. The Demon Roasters. All right, Mama Hun, that one's all right too. Daniel says, considering how many times they have had to flee, maybe they should be called the Escape Artists. Also pretty good. Also pretty good. Amir Sal says, do you think they are setting up Azune to die before we even know more about his character? No. I wouldn't be surprised if he dies, but I don't think he's dying anytime soon. I think we're going to get to find out more about him before that happens. Party Steve says, I wonder if there will be a show next week. They bucked the trend by having one in the last week of January. Like, well, they also skipped an extra week in January. Like, they took off the holidays and then took off an extra week. So they might have just been making up for it. But I guess we'll find out, right? We'll figure out if they have another episode or not. I hope they do. Dana says, I assume they're going to whittle down the cast. They aren't going to have all 13 for the... You don't think so? You don't think it's going to be like everybody makes a new character when they die and just keeps going? Softball asks, do you think next campaign it would go back to the original cast? If it does, I could actually see it being like the farewell campaign for some people. If it does. I think there's no way it's under 2. Wait, what is that in response to, Connor? 18 minutes ago, Theosophy was married for 2 years before the Falconers Rebellion. Okay. Stop yawning. I know. I don't know why I am either. I don't know why I've been yawning and stuff. I apologize. Oh, the campaign length, Connor. You're talking about the campaign length. You don't think it's under 2. I'm thinking it mainly going to be undead and maybe a cultist or warlock. Yeah, that's a strike. I'm with you on that. I could definitely see that. Low level combat can be dull, and like to see people, big players swing with a clutch banishment, crazy 6 attack action. Okay, you're explaining why you want the 7. Gamerica says, no, it's an official schedule already. They are having an episode on the last week of February. Oh, nice. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, we ended up looking into it in January to find out. We looked at the schedule and it said there was going to be one. So that's awesome. So yeah, maybe they really did just fully buck the dropping the last one. They already said backup characters. Yeah, that's why I don't think that was going to happen. Chrome says, I want to see what kind of bard Hal is really bad. I'm going to go with tragedy. You need a poll for this one. Wait, what? Daniel says, I've been thinking this might be the farewell campaign for some of the original members. They have brought in new cast members to get people used to them as replacements. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know if this would be it. That wouldn't feel right to me in some ways. But at the same time, yeah. What do you mean a farewell campaign? I think if this one went like 2-3 years and then they did a new campaign, if the original cast stuck it out and it was the original cast again, I think it could be the last campaign for some of the original cast. Bull says, who would you like to see that makes a guest appearance on this show? We've talked about this a couple times. My mind I want to see Joe Manganiello or whatever his name is on there again. I think that Vecna scene of his was really cool, and so it'd be nice to have like a full circle sort of moment and bring him back into that. Jaden says, I'm hoping this campaign lasts for a long while and everyone stays for it. I think they will. You need Mama Hun, gotcha, a poll. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, I have no doubt it'll stay for a while. Crow says, I feel like a lot of their interviews and promo stuff had a lot of talk like passing the torch and embracing new cast members. Some of them will probably move on after this one, to be honest. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I think they have greatly hinted at it. I think when you are doing it as a performance, every week for 10 years or whatever, like, there's a little bit of that burnout. And it starts to be more of a production, not just hanging out with your friends playing a game and all those. So I can kind of see that. And like you said, they have brought those things up a lot, which is partially, when they did their announcement today of, we have this new show with a totally different cast. That's also part of what they're talking about, is that they will like start opening up to other people doing different things on different shows to expand Critical Role to be a larger thing as like a company, not as like a show. That makes sense. Do we know how Octus cast Summon Undead, since that's a 3rd level spell? He didn't cast Summon Undead, did he? Are you talking about with like the Vulture or whatever? I'm pretty sure it was like Summon Undead Critter, which might be a homebrew spell. Yeah, Summon Undead Critter. It's on the Crit Wiki or whatever, criticalrolefandom.com wiki, and it says School of Necromancy level 1 or 2, because they don't know. Like, we don't have details. I think it's a homebrew spell for that. Want Lou Wilson? What's up, Dr. Calvin? Want Lou Wilson so that we have all the Calamity cast. Famous says skipping the last week was the thing to give Matt back a break, right? Is last week's skip needing more? I know this is Scopium. I don't know. I don't know. The soldiers seem to be headed back to Damakiar to reunite with the schemers. The Seekers are currently out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, well, I mean, they're heading back, but we're still not synced up time-wise. So maybe the Seekers will be heading back there at the same time. We don't really know. What's your prediction lengthwise for the campaign? I'm going to go 2 years. I'm going to go 2 years. Candlegal says, I don't see this being the last campaign for the OGs, but I think it is a soft lead in when they win its tickets. That's what I'm saying. Like, next campaign, if they return, like, if we have this 13-player, multiple table, whatever thing this time, next one could be the final one. But, I mean, you never really know. You never know. Sleepstar says, I can see the cast members with kids bowing out so they can spend more time with the children. See, but to me, that's what's crazy when we talk about this. The way that they currently do it, and I could be wrong here, they're not working a 9 to 5 for airing the episode. Like, maybe they are working those hours to doing other things, but like giving up something that you record, you know, that to me, it's like, of all the things that may be stopping them from spending time with their children, I don't think recording Critical Role is the thing that does it. Like, I don't think that's so they're, oh, I gotta miss stuff and skip whatever. It's not all these other things I do with my time and energy and whatever, or the business side of things. No, it's recording the episode of Critical Role. So yeah, that's just when that's like the idea, which I mean, plenty of people have it. I could be totally wrong here. That it just doesn't strike me as like the reason. I think it's more likely lack of interest or burnout versus just like, oh, I want to spend time with my kids, so I can't record a 3-hour episode this week. Who do we think would leave? I have no idea. I have no idea. I just think they've hinted at it a lot with like wanting to pass the torch, and they've even mentioned like eventually moving on and stuff like that. So in a way, his character didn't really have any till he died. It was already, well, tragedy to me was more of like tragedy in the terms of performance, not like he suffered tragedy necessarily. Jason, at least that's in my mind. My guess is that Travis will be one of the first to leave just because he is so busy. Yeah, CEO things. But that's where it's like, is getting cool Amazon shows and whatever worth leaving behind the whole reason you ended up where you are? You know, like, I'm sure that's a question that they'll be asking themselves. It's like, wait, do I want to leave being on the show and playing D&D with my homies to focus on building the business we built around this? I don't know. It's about his fireside chat. Undead Critters a homebrew. Maybe, yeah, that's what I thought. It's a homebrew spell. Lose future undead with like 20 HP. The lizard was a putrid undead. Oh, he did summon a lizard at a point, didn't he? Yeah, I'm not sure, Xander, but I'm pretty sure it was just summon undead critter. But yeah, it's possible that like maybe it's too strong for what it is, or it has a drawback of some kind. Yeah, adding new shows to make Beacon a whole TTRPG, I think it's super fun. Would love to see one more OG cast for a well campaign too. Yeah, I think that people definitely want to see them do another one of just them. And I do think it's cool that they're getting other people on there as like a platform and all that stuff. I just think it's not as exciting for that to be announcements, because I think most people still care way more about the OG cast and what they're doing, whether currently or they're like, again, a show announcement about one of their, you know, their campaigns, or an update for the season release date, or like those are all things that people are interested in more than like, oh, here's a totally new cast of people playing a totally different game in a totally different way. You know, a lot of people are just like, oh, cool. You know, like that's, at least that's what I've seen around. It's like I've saw a lot of people commenting on my videos about it being like, oh, well, that was not what I was hoping for. Like, cool. Kudos to them for giving people a platform, but also like they weren't interested. When things get rolling, it's always fun to have Emily Axford at the table. Connor says, I predict 2 years and 6 months. All right. It's also another spell he made that we haven't seen yet. Jaden said, how long do the campaigns usually last? I'd imagine this one to be longer due to being West Marches. It could be if they want it to be, but like what? Yeah, Sleepstar says, campaign 1 was a little over 2.5 years. Campaign 2 was 3.5 years. Campaign 3 was about 3 years. Travis and Marisha probably. I don't know. I think Marisha still really enjoys playing a lot. See them take a step back for health reasons, burnout, the business side of crit taking more of their time. Yeah, I think it'll be more for burnout and focusing on building out the business. And I'm sure it will be positioned as we're stepping aside to make room for the next people because we want to, you know, foster other stuff, you know, other creators and that sort of thing. This is all speculation, of course. Will Ashley successfully do a thing tonight? I certainly hope so. Mama Hun says, I spent some time watching Kingdom Come Deliverance. The characters mesh really well. I think new characters is what is going to keep Critical Role going. I mean, yeah, long term, it can't be the same, you know, when they're getting older and older and older, and you need a new generation to come in, right? You're fighting attrition at all times. So I think there's nothing wrong with having some of these other new things come in. Hooking them in the same way is going to be difficult. Kathy says, oh, hey, Kathy, what's up? Since the show is no longer live, there's no need to take the last Thursday off. Yeah, but they were doing that already and hasn't been live for years. They were still doing that and it hasn't been live for years. But I mean, I agree with you. Pirate Steve says, so what are the chances that it was Thaisha and Hal's son is the orc from Artis's vision? Could this be as... No, I think it's completely possible that the orc they saw was Alogar standing in the Barrow Dells. Completely possible. Candlegal says, I have a feeling Ashley's dice are officially cursed. And have been for a while. Famine says, I just remember that they teased the thing for today. What was it? It's a whole new show with a different cast that every week will have a guest. And it has like the cast and then the DM, but then there's also like play-by-play commentators on the side, like a sports event commentator thing. And it has to do with drawing. Like they have to draw the things that are happening, but I still don't fully understand. Like I think until you watch it, you're kind of like, I think I might have an idea, but I don't. It's called Draw Your Weapons. And so they need to like literally draw the things that are happening or whatever. And then they like, I don't know. It's a whole thing, but it's a new show with new people and a very unique play style and approach. And it's going to have animated stuff on it. It's a partnership with Titmouse. Crow says, I think they would have to continue doing on-screen things to entice people to check out the other content for sure. The fans are most connected to... Well, that is my idea. Right now, I still think the vast majority of critters are connected to the OG crew. So when they announce this new show and none of the OG crew are in it, I'm like... Yeah. But... Again, you're giving new people an opportunity. You're, you know, trying to put some... Yeah. Paul says, Laura has received repeated death threats for Last of Us and her prominence on the show. They've just wanted to chill a little bit and live less in the open. Yeah. Jason says, the announcement definitely didn't make me want to breach the paywall. Yeah. Again, to me, it was like some people, a lot of people I saw were just like, oh, that's cool. But like, they're not going to watch it, you know? Sleepstar Nerve says, it's also the nature of both A, actors, and B, ADHD people that they want to change. There's no way they'd want to play for 5 years or anything that long. Oh yeah, like a campaign. Yeah. I mean, some people do, right? There are people out there who play 10, 20-year long campaigns and stuff. Canagal says, and honestly, I don't see any of the OGs stepping away forever. I see them doing one-shots, guest spots. Oh, 100%. Still popping in and doing stuff. Chrome says, I'm never paying for Beacon low-key. Why is that? I mean, I think Beacon's cool to be able to watch the episode and, you know, get access to the cooldown, fireside chats, being able to ask questions, being able to, like, for $6, I think it is. It's $5.99 or $6.99. Maybe it's $7. I think it's all right for what you get. And I don't watch any of the other stuff, right? I'm only there for the Critical Role, and I still think it's okay. Graham Paul, what's up, dude? Good evening, everyone. I hope we all enjoy it as well. The only time Ashley has really rolled well is when she uses the D20 she has that's always cocked. They've been Beacon along. 100%. They're building more of a platform versus like a media empire platform versus just a, you know, one single entertainment product sort of thing. Connor says, I'm so incredibly poor and I still got Beacon just for the cooldown and I regret nothing. Yeah. Yeah. Softball says, the Beacon price is great. Not too bad like other apps. Yeah, I mean, you know, $6, $7 a month for, you know, getting immediate access to the VODs, being able to watch faster, being able to watch slower. And you get the cooldown and you get, like, to me, especially somebody who is keeping up with it every week on time, taking notes, like it's basically a must-have because I need to be able to go back. I need to be able to fast forward. I need to be able to put on captions and write stuff down and pause and all those sorts of things. So I can do my recaps and stuff like that. So it's super important for me, but I think the benefits in general are cool. But yeah. So, to turn it back a little bit to tonight's episode, how soon into the episode do you think we will get a combat, if at all? Since they're heading into the Eternal Night. See if we play DD, even just one shot. That would be cool, Sleep Starve. That would be cool. Jen says, I find the dropout 24/7 announcement very intriguing. Yeah. I mean, they're just going to be riding it through, right? They're going to start with the beginning of Dimension 20, and then after that they'll run through something else completely and something else. Find a hit or even just find a personality that connects with the audience. You could bring back another roller show. Yeah, I think, again, I agree that, like, who knows, you try some stuff, you see what happens, and then, you know, maybe one of the shows does pop off. People really like it. Prices compared to my career. Oh, that's fair. Gamer card. No, that's totally fair. Yeah, I'm thinking of it simply from like where I'm at and what I pay. All right, Xander says 40 minutes. Bull says in the first 20 minutes we're gonna get one. Kuro says praying for the first hour. Kuro says we'll be stoked if it's first 30 minutes. Connor says, I'm not convinced we will get one. I'm scared they're gonna spend forever talking to the druids of Thaisha Circle at the waypoint. Yeah, they're going to the waypoint, what, Shadowlight? But the only one there is, Hannon, right? Let's see. Famine says, break will be the combat tease, then combat after tease till end of show. That's a normal sort of thing, I feel like. Yeah, they've done that quite a bit. Daniel says, I will bet on combat starting within 30 minutes of the start of the Seekers part. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's valid. Like, we are talking about, like, from the time the Seekers take over. So if you said 20 minutes, like, you know, that's just, yeah, we're assuming 20 minutes from the Seekers take over for anybody. Biko says 45 minutes to an hour, like right before the break. Jaden says after break. Banana Samurai, hey, what's up? Welcome in. I think combat might be the cliffhanger at the end of the episode. Strike Wolfie says Rangers don't normally get haste, but I think one of the subclasses does, so maybe, but I think it is more interesting without it in the group anymore. Sleep Stars won't see comments for the second half. It'll be second half after getting to where they get, Jimmy says. Erratic Genius says combat cold open. Yeah, just immediately. Heck yeah. Pirates says Julian doesn't strike me as patient. I think they'll get to combat fairly early. Well, it's more about what they run into, right? Like if they go in there and there's like undead right in their face and they have to like fight through it or they get attacked or something, yeah, they're gonna go into combat. I'm hoping the battle part is not a cliffhanger part. Like end of episode? Or do you mind if it's like a break cliffhanger? I don't normally mind the breaks. It gets them like they get to pull out the battle mat and blah blah blah. And I get to skip the breaks. Or the breaks don't exist on Beacon. Right? They just go, we're gonna go to break, and then they just come right back, and you're like, nice. Connor says, and the cooldown, I'm pretty sure Brennan said there will be druids by the waypoint. Okay. So maybe there will be some more druids. And more dialogue. Jason says, now that they have cut the runtime, I can't imagine it will take too long to get to combat. Less than an hour, I'm guessing. Yeah, it does feel like we didn't just get 3.5 hours by chance for a bit. It does genuinely feel like they have intentionally been like, we're going to make our stuff run for 3.5 hours. Like it is intentional set. Grandpa says, which characters will we learn more about in the intro for tonight? I'm thinking Cadigan, Tyranny, or Wick. And a possible like Wick Tyranny combo. But it could also just be like a flashback to Wick and that his lady. It could be a flashback for Cadigan. Could be a flashback for Tyranny. So Strike Wolfie says, I think the Seekers need something to pull them into a better group. Like help them like come together cohesively. Biko says, I think they need a combat and a win to allow for leveling. Totally fair. Oh, they could have a longer cold open, long ad, short time to get there, and rest of show battle and come in at 3:30. End of episode. I mean, wasn't a cold open flashback? Yes, and the overture there was like we did jump into a flashback of a fight, so it's completely possible. Erratic, you are correct. Crow says, I hope it's Cadigan. Jayhawk says, bet it's Murray. Yeah, the only reason I was leaning towards Cadigan, Wick, and Tyranny is because 2 weeks ago we had some soldiers, and then we went to schemers. And so I thought if we follow the pattern of like soldier, schemers, soldier, schemers, soldier, schemers, then it would be back to Cadigan, Wick. But if we don't, and they're just like, hey, any player, anybody, then yeah. Softball says, I'm hoping there won't be druids there because we know Thaisha will be calling everyone cousin and conversate for 30 to 40 minutes. Jaden says, I hope Cadigan. I want to dive more into his backstory. Famine says, I feel like tonight's cold open will be Marisha. Sanders says, for being the secret table, I feel like they haven't uncovered much, but I hope that changes this episode with some cool undead Fae lore. I mean, they've uncovered some. Jason says, I think Murray's the only one of the schemers that hasn't had a flashback yet, I think. Yeah, I mean, we've had cold opens with her, but flashbacks, yeah, I'm not sure we did. Yeah, we haven't had a cat flashback either, but that's for the soldiers.
Or wait, I don't.
I mean, I'm cool with whatever cold open. They've delivered pretty strong cold opens. Um, I mean, you could argue on some of them the cold opens are like near the top of moments from the episodes. Let's see. New animatic for the Eagle Flight from last week is pretty. I haven't watched any of those. I've seen them post around a lot, um, but I have not actually watched any of them. How long are they? And are they just like specific scenes, or are they like the whole episode? Jaden says, I know we already talked about it, but last week's cold open had me tearing up with immediate want to. Yeah, no, that went hard, and Louise went full into actor mode. Um, and then Brennan tossing it back to him to be like, was that the last time you saw, your parents? And him being like, yes. Like that was a cool moment. 25 minutes, guys. 25 minutes. The below cold opens up in peak. Oh, I agree. Hoping it's because I having Talisman withdrawal. No, and just like Famine said, the Belair cold opens have been really good. What is one mystery you would like to learn more about this episode? Well, one would be why did they want to send these people in there to fight the warlocks? So that's one. Two, I'd love to find out more about this curse on Julian. Three, Aranessa's secret, but I don't know that that's something we will get tonight. But I'm just thinking of stuff that I'm interested in that's related to the Seekers. Maybe 2 to 3 minutes, animate scenes from the episode. Oh, that's cool. Scene in less than okay. No, that's dope. Again, I've seen them around, but I haven't watched them when it comes to that. I really didn't know if I would connect with this character, but Louise was great. Louise, I was always looking forward to more Louise. I think he's gonna be really, really good. Jayhawk says Skinner cold open stalking Travis. That would be so sick. I would love that. I would love to have a Skinner cold open where he's just following around Tayor, threatening to put his hat in his hand or something. Hat in his hand. His hat inside him. Love their kobold is so cool. Famine says, hey, my dinner will be done just in time for the episode. Nice. Party says, mystery, they'd like to learn what magics are bad or illegal. Yeah, I'm also intrigued. Said hat. Yeah, I loved Skinner. That was a lot of fun. Not stalking Taylor, but a straight up Travis. I'm telling you, the soldiers just had such good NPCs. Peak fun moments. Peak fun moments. Oh, Sleep says, you know what, both Louise and Liam being at the same table is going to absolutely destroy us eventually. That is true. If Liam ends up returning to his roots of being sad boy, emotional boy, then yes. It's probably going to get quite ugly. But if he stays true to his guns and is like, I'm making a not sad boy person and I have a normal life and whatever, then we wouldn't have that. So who knows? Who knows? We'll do a one last little spiel here. If you haven't already clicked the thumbs up button, please consider doing so if you're on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That would be very helpful. It's free. Just click the subscribe button. If you're on TikTok, double tap the screen. Make sure to follow. If you want to support me continuing to try to do this full time, consider becoming a member here on YouTube. It's like $5 a month, or subscribing to my Patreon where you can get some goodies. That is linked in the description of the video. And join the Discord where we chat live during the episode. We have a channel dedicated to it. So, yeah. Brainless, yeah, and he brought that up. He was like, I made this character where, like, I wasn't going to have this extra emotional baggage, and I wasn't, I was going to be, like, I lived a good life. I'm, like, a normal guy living a good life, and then Brennan immediately killed my brother. So. The pain is all about German. Yeah, that's another one, Nikki. No, I would also, but I don't know, we're not going to find that out with the Seekers, but I also want to know what the deal is with the paint and why he was saying to give them the paint. I am also intrigued by this. Very much so. Liam can't help himself. Hal will be the first character to go since Brennan liked his backup better. A new character will still be a sad boy. Yeah, well, I mean, that's what he was saying. Brennan liked his backup, so now he was more scared for Hal. Famine says, just realized that my brain doesn't register Matt as an OG. Brain went, I think I'm having difficulties with the Seekers because Ashley is the only OG player. And you got Matt right there. No, I mean, I think it's partially that, like, they've just been a slower group. It's been more slow talking. It's been less forward motion. So I think that's part of it. Twirly Duck says, all right, I'm in bed. Fresh made strawberry agua fresca. Sheesh. Rolling a die right now to see if tonight's destined to be a good one. It's cocked. Second roll, 15. Do with that what you will. I love that, Twirly Duck. Heck yeah. 15's pretty good. 15's pretty good. So I'm feeling good about it. Personally, I'm feeling good about it. We had a little bit of a slower pre-show tonight. But I appreciate everybody who was hanging out with us. Enjoying. See, we'll make for slower episodes. I mean, that's also part of it, for sure. I mean, that could, with no doubt, be part of the, I don't want to say issue, but, like, the reason that it's a little bit slower and forms that way. It's still enjoyable though, but I mean, I've made a little short about it, and also I've talked about it in this, that the Seekers have been harder for me to stay engaged with. But who knows? Now they're heading into the Barrow Dells. They're heading into the Eternal Night. It could be, we talked about this earlier as well, that these last two episodes could be really good. They have the potential to be really, really good. Well, the one in the live chat on Beacon. Pre-show. It's been fun to get into the gritty before we see it all unfold. Sounds good. Tables, different vibes. No, I mean, I'm with you, Brainless. There's definitely different vibes and stuff like that, but this one just hasn't held me as well. I've seen plenty of people who said this is their favorite. They like this more than the Soldiers. Totally valid. Everybody's allowed to like what they like. Um, but yeah. I wonder if the episodes are getting less views. The Secrets episodes, yeah, it would be intriguing as well. Curious if there's any sort of thing. But we don't have the analytics. But yeah, guys, join the Discord. It's linked in the description. We have the Critical Role Campaign 4 live chat. People talk about it during the episode. They ask questions. Hey, did you see that? What was the name of that guy? Wow, that was funny. Wow, that was scary. All that stuff. So feel free to join. I am going to wrap this up now. Thank you guys for being here. Again, if you haven't already clicked the subscription button, please consider doing so. And I will see you guys in the next one. Look out for my videos. If you see my videos pop up in your feed, please click them and watch them, as it helps keep me in algorithms and YouTube not shunning me. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. And I will see you guys in the next one. All right. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the show.